Well, the Dons not good enough in the north against a rampant Brisbane side who win their 5th in a row. Welcome back to the Don Pod. I'm here with Nathan. Good evening, Nathan.
Good evening, Sam. How are
Sorry, it
you?
was a bit formal, wasn't it?
Well,
Well,
that's,
how
nothing
are you?
wrong with that.
Are you well?
I am well, yes.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Good.
I'm all good. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, all right. Should move on. Good. Dons 6-9-45, a bit yuck. Defeated by the Brisbane Lions, also a bit
Yuck.
yuck. 12-15-87. Not hard to describe, really. First half, brilliant. Second half, not so brilliant. What was your initial take?
Look, I don't know if I'd use brilliant in the first half. We were good.
Good enough.
Things
Already
went our
fun.
way. I felt like there were times when we were holding back a bit of a flood, but it's a bit of Groundhog Day when there's really good, there's positives to take out of it, but there's also
Some
the
question
negatives.
marks. Yes.
Yeah, the question marks. I think question marks is actually probably better than negatives. I agree with that. There's a lot of questions that come out of that game.
Correct. In front of the sticks, Langford 2 goals, Stringer, Perkins, Menzies, and Waller 1. Disposals, Redmond 30, and then Setterfield and Merritt with 23, so dropped away pretty quickly. Obviously missing Parrish quite considerably there. Down 40 on disposals, minus 29 contested, minus 31 inside 50s, which is a shellacking.
Which has been a bit of the case the last 4 or 5 weeks. We've sort of lost those inside 50s.
I've written down plus 14, but plus 14 what, we'll never know. Plus 1 in the clearances, centre clearances plus 1, stoppage clearances level, which hasn't happened for a little while.
Yep.
Turned the ball over 16 more times. That was evident.
Didn't we?
Killed us.
Sometimes we just gave it to them, like
just fell over
when we were running.
Yeah. Down 13 on contested marks, which over the last, now 3 games, Geelong 3 contested marks to 12, Port 7 to 22, and now Brisbane 6 to 19. So really struggling with that aspect. Yeah. And overall, the ball spent 65% of the match in Brisbane's forward half, which again was quite evident.
What do you reckon you take from those stats then?
I mean, stats combined with being there and watching and seeing it all unfold, we just couldn't compete. Well documented that we're down tools. We're short of tall, says so on the
tall.
They've got tools coming out their backsides. McInerney, Harris Andrews, Hipwood, Daniher, just to name a couple. There's a couple more as well.
Well, their defenders have got some good tools too. There.
Yeah. So what we did so well in the first half was compete, scrap, just will the ball forward, and occasionally relied on some good kicking and some good, handball chains and all that. But it was just absolute will the ball forward.
Yep. I also have a question for you. You've been at the game, so it looked
Brisbane.
like I saw from my camera angle in the on the telly that Phillips was he playing like as a defender a bit?
Not that I noticed. No,
that he was going down with Joe. Maybe I couldn't work out if he was following Joe down.
Might have been when Joe was rucking.
So he was going down with him.
I didn't notice.
Because I heard the commentators sort of make a comment about that Phillips looked like he was playing a bit. We were playing an extra defender.
Yeah. Okay.
And sometimes that was Phillips down there.
I took note a couple of times just at the start of the quarter. Because I was sort of sitting at half forward. Who were the matchups? Because
that's interesting.
But I wasn't paying attention the whole game, so that's probably not overly...
Didn't you take notes?
No. Overly meaningful or accurate, I guess. But they swapped. They rotated. BZT and Baldwin didn't stay on one of Daniher and Hipwood. They swapped over quite a bit, which I like.
Yeah, I think that's part of the modern game, is that you go up the ground with someone or you stay back. I think that's swapping, but there's still, I would say McGrath played on Cameron.
Yeah, that was a clear.
That was his responsibility.
Correct. And we'll come to him in a little bit because he was phenomenal. Interestingly, on the contested marks, so Geelong 3 to 12, Port 7 to 22, Brisbane 6 to 19. That, and this is from Twitter, so preach the Twitter peoples. That correlates to when Jones went out of the side. Now, we were talking, and it's not just us, plenty of people were talking about the fact Jones is playing a role.
Yeah.
And I think that's the role.
Yeah.
Compete.
Well, he was not leading our contested marks, but he's in the top sort of 7 or 8. And when you think how many games he's missed now.
But it's not just his ability to mark. It's the fact he's tall, he's lanky, and he can punch.
Well, he makes a contest. He
He's
gets
in the
up
road.
What really shows at the moment is we're struggling to get the ball out of our back half to an option that's not Phillips or Draper, and Draper was very, very ordinary on the weekend. Probably his worst game for the year. And those guys, when they're not marking it, there's no one else. We don't have a contested marker at the moment. Wiedemann can be, but we're expecting, and obviously him to be in that forward 70 to do that, not in the defensive 70.
Yeah, and I mean he's 195, so straight away he's giving away centimetres to the Harris Andrews of the world. I walked past him Sunday morning, actually. Weed.
Harris Andrews?
No, Weed.
Oh, yeah.
Out with his partner. I'm assuming his partner getting a coffee.
I left him. Outed him as having an affair?
I'm sure no one that cares is listening. He's a nice guy. I'm sure he's not doing that. Anyway, that was just a bit of a highlight. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I think the numbers confirm what we're seeing with our eyeballs is that we can't mark the ball enough, and we can't get it out of our defensive half. And when the ball hits the ground in our defensive half, we probably don't have enough hard, tough defenders that can clear. We have a lot of outside defenders, like I'm not saying Redmond's one of them, but there are a few of those guys that just get too far on the outside and don't actually clear it.
Yep. I was going to say something on that.
It's going to be brilliant.
Last week, we commented on Port Adelaide kicking a lot of points, and that somehow, weirdly, that probably helped them keep the ball in their forward half because they were getting smashed in the centre clearances. Broke even in the centre clearances, 1 by 1. Brisbane were again inaccurate. But still, our biggest issue is
getting it.
Play on from the kick in. Redmond will run to 25 out. Hoof it long to about the wing where we get outmarked.
Where we lose the contest and the ball comes straight back in.
Yeah. That happened all last week.
Yeah. Well, it happened all last year.
Well, yeah. Let's focus on the now. And then it happened all Saturday night. So, but it's explainable. It's saying we don't have enough tools. If we had Peter Wright, if we had Reid or
Jones,
someone tall,
Reid,
possibly we'd compete. So I think there was a couple of contests where I went, oh, Jesus Christ, just stick your ass out a little bit or block something. But at the same time, you're away from home playing a top 4 side who, as I say, have tools to spare. I can almost forgive it.
So what was your take on the first half?
Well, I thought it was. We did what we had to do. We scrapped. We fought.
Game plan seemed to work. We were playing an extra defender.
Kept them to 2 goals in the first quarter and goalless in the second quarter.
Yep.
So
we were defending really well.
I can't imagine that's happened in a long time, particularly.
And even though they kicked a few points in that, did they kick a few points in
5 points in the second quarter? Yeah. But they were tough shots, and
I'm not. Maybe they would have got an extra 2, but not.
They were under pressure.
5
shots.
weren't 5. Yeah.
I loved the way we moved the ball. I love the Essendon crowd at the Gabba. That was phenomenal. Us sheltered, not quite Melburnians, but that's where I go to my football. I've never seen audience participation like it. Like the cheer squad got the Essendon clap, clap, clap chant. Whole end of the ground that was mostly us all joined in. That doesn't happen at the G. Be better.
Certainly doesn't happen in Adelaide.
No. It was incredible. So, yeah, that was really surprising. And if I can, just divulge a little bit. Strange being in a state where football's not number 1. I was walking around Brisbane during the day and I saw about 4 other Essendon supporters. Every single one said something to me. Didn't see a single Brisbane Lions fan until we were about 10 metres away from the Gabba. Strange place.
Yeah.
I loved Langers in the first half. I thought he was great. Hit the scoreboard and competed a couple of times.
Oh, I felt like I think from my view on that, he sort of took a while to work out that the guy who's playing on actually was good.
Mm. He did
And
get
the first
outmarked
few
once.
contests, he went, "Oh, actually, I have to try on this guy."
He got caught behind or took the back position a couple of times, and I went, "Yeah, just get in front."
Well, he just tried to. I think he tried to muscle him out, and
Yeah.
the other, I can't think of the guy's name. He just like, actually, I'm fairly strong.
I'm pretty good, yeah. I don't know if it just worked or because we didn't do anything in particular. It was just scrap and contest and be hard and be hard to play against, I guess. But to be up at halftime by 10 points, huge win on the road. My mate, who I went with, is a Brisbane supporter. He was flat as. I had to give him a little pep talk at halftime. All the Brisbane fans were very quiet.
Don't worry, you've got this.
I literally
Essendon.
said to him, "It's okay, you will win. It's fine." He was miserable. Obviously, the big talking point out of the game as a whole was Daniher. Up to halftime, only Essendon players had kicked goals. It took until halfway through the third quarter for a Brisbane player to actually kick a goal.
Well, he is a Brisbane
you get my
player.
point, though.
Yeah,
You get the joke, yes.
What did you think went wrong in the second half?
I think their class, the fact that they went, we're actually better than this mob, let's be better. And I think the ball was already sort of camped in their forward half. They just weren't able to score. So we dropped a little bit, they went up a little bit. But it was a real air of expectation that was going to happen. And it just did. So, Daniher with 6, 2 out of the ruck was pretty piss weak contest.
Oh, that one from Draper, that was
just fell
fucking
over.
disgusting. Like,
I'd never saw a replay. I was interested to know if it was fair.
Yeah, it was fair.
Okay, because the one replay I saw, it didn't look like
atrocious effort from Draper.
Okay. Didn't look like Daniher took his eyes off the ball, but obviously
no, he didn't. He gave him a bump. Draper went down. He took the ball and went goal. I thought Draper was just. I mean, it's a big task to go up there and play because that McInerney is a very, very good ruckman. He gave him a great knee in the ribs. I don't know if you saw that in one of the.
I saw McInerney down for quite a while.
Yeah, Draper got him an absolute dart in the ribs, like with a knee. Oh God, it would have hurt. I can't imagine the pain. Anyway, but McInerney, he must have taken. I can't remember the stats, but he took quite a few marks. And I had a look at this because I've been on our ruckman about their marking.
You have.
And I think our ruckman had 3 marks between them, and I think McInerney may have taken 5 or 6 or something like that. And I thought, well, that's the difference at the moment is they've got a ruckman that gets around the ground and helps out, takes marks,
So Big O took 6 marks.
6, yeah. And I reckon Draper with 3 between them.
Well, between our 2, if I can find them, Draper took 2, Flipper took 1.
Yeah, and that's we've been talking about this like contested marks and look.
Yes, and they're the height. They're the ones that need to be.
They're the guys that we're looking to use out, and Flipper's one of them. He's been kicked a lot. I'd love to know the stats how many times he gets kicked to about that 70-meter mark out from defence. He's just not marking it, or he's maybe bringing some of them to ground, but he's getting out marked a lot too. I'm getting more and more frustrated with him being picked instead of Brian. I saw Brian had another pretty good VFL game.
Well, yeah,
I don't want to get ahead, but I'm just thinking, at what stage do we like? I understand we need senior players in the team because I think that's one of our problems is that we are very young and very small. Like I think it's part of our problem. But you also think, well, if we're playing these 2 ruckmen for a bit longer, I'd love to see another option. There's 3 games now before the bye. I'd love to see Bryant play those 3 games into the bye.
Well, particularly where we play West Coast and North before the bye.
Yeah, so we've got Richmond, West Coast, North, which are none of them. I don't think Nankervis will be back for Richmond. Okay. So they'll be playing their young kid Ryan and Miller, who are just kids. So there's a perfect opportunity right there. Big stage, big game.
And it's not like it's one poor game for Flipper. It's since the Melbourne game, he's had 2 absolute stinkers.
And a half decent.
He came good at the end of last week, but probably a bit too late. And then wasn't anything brilliant.
But for me, it's the 31-year-old over the 20, I'm going to say 3-year-old, whatever Brian is. Like,
look, if Draper and Phillips are doing what they did against Melbourne every week, sure. You're in. You're playing every week there.
But he's not.
You're not, yep.
And you've got a kid in the VFL, and I think like, I don't want to talk about players in the moment, but there's a couple of players that I don't think have shown form in the VFL yet, getting senior games.
Yep.
Yet he's showing form in the VFL.
Yes. We're trying really hard to keep this structured. We feel like the
killing
last
us.
couple of weeks we've
I just want to rip into some
gone
players.
off on a few tangents. So
Especially someone who can't bounce a ball.
forgive us if we are trying so
See if you
hard.
can guess who that is.
Yeah, can't bounce a ball and falls over.
Jesus, put a bullet in him.
Probably. Oh, that's a bit rough. Probably not the worst segue then
No.
into some individuals. So let's start with the ultra positives.
Oh,
Andrew McGrath.
wow. Yeah.
Charlie Cameron, again, I said it last week or week before about Bobby Hill at Collingwood.
Bobby Hill.
It's exactly the kind of guy that likes to kick goals against Essendon. And Pidge not only shuts him down, Cameron didn't kick a goal. He had a couple of chances, but they were pushed on the boundary line. He had a set shot laid on, which wasn't even Pidge on him at that point.
He should have kicked that, but he still missed. That's not our fault.
A little flog. That was right in front of us. He smiled to the crowd after he took the mark and then missed. Good one, champ. But to keep a quality player like Cameron goalless, and I know there were a few Brisbane supporters who were very sad they didn't get to hear Take Me Home, Country Roads.
Which is not a bad song, I must admit. I quite like it.
I was a bit sad if we had to lose. But anyway, he was outstanding, and he wins his own ball.
Well, I think he was leading contested possession getter in our back half. He probably close to most meters gained. I didn't look at that number, but he would be pretty high there. He third or fourth in our possessions. He had a really good game. His leadership was there. It's what I want to see from him a lot more.
Yes.
Like really influencing the game in the way he did.
So full stat check, 18 disposals and 394 metres gained, which was the third on the team.
Which is very good. And you expect that from a defender too.
But
you do, because they're kicking the ball forward.
If you're coming in and keeping Charlie Cameron goalless, if you have 0 touches, I don't care.
Now, my question
Yes.
My question is, did he have a good game just because he had a good game and no other reason? Or did he have a good game because Kelly didn't play in the team and he was given this job? Whereas this job have gone to Kelly and McGrath would have got, say, someone else and been expected to be a rebounding defender, trying to get all the ball and do all these other things. Whereas we just said, no, you've got to play on the best defender and you've got to beat him.
I think that's
my question.
That's his role now. I think he would have done that anyway. I think Kelly would have been...
See, but didn't we get Kelly in to get onto these small forwards?
But he hasn't been. And honestly, the Kelly for Baldwin, which is probably a reasonable segue onto Baldwin.
Oh, yeah.
He was great.
I want Baldwin in the side every week. I don't know if this is if this how it works. The team selection.
He was plenty.
He was really, really good
on half back when they were kicking long to their half forward line. Mm-hmm. Offered plenty in the contest. Yes, Marks. Joe kicked 6 and Eric kicked or Hipwood kicked 1, but 7 goals between them when Hawkins kicked 8 alone 3 weeks ago.
But I wasn't expecting him to stop Joe Daniher. That's not
no.
What,
but he
given
competed
away a fair bit of height, a fair bit of weight, a fair bit of experience.
But he looked big enough.
But he took marks. He ran off. He made good kicking decisions. Like he used the ball well. It's only his. I don't know. It would be maybe 6th game. Wouldn't even be that. I reckon AFL game.
Not many.
And he's only been sent down back. I think this year in the VFL. I don't think he did any of it last year.
Great foresight there.
Well, I just think I watched that again. We're talking about the kids. I want to see that. I'm getting to the point in the year where I'm thinking, I just want to see, Sardis play. I want to see some of these other kids get a few games and see what we've got on the list before we get to the end of the year again. And I would like to see him play, the rest of the year without an injury, because I just saw that and I thought, well, he's a 194.5, something like that guy. He marks really well.
Question this week. Oh, no, we'll come to that because structure and everything. Forgive me, I'm going to write it down so I don't forget. Who got concussed last week? Ridley. Thank you.
Ridley.
Right. Preparation, people. Any other standouts? I thought Hobbs is getting a lot of love. He turned the ball over needlessly 3 or 4 times because he doesn't have an opposite foot, which is infuriating.
Yeah, I agree.
Infuriating. But he was solid as. He was quite good.
He was really good. It was his best game, I thought.
Yep.
But I agree with your comment about he's still got some deficiencies that need work. Goes to the
And
ground a bit too easy for me. That's what I see. He seems to get to the ground really quickly, which you don't want. I don't want midfielders to
you
do that. I
want
want them to
strong
keep their feet.
over the ball. You win
Yeah.
free kicks if you keep your feet.
Yeah, he's a bit of a sliding kind of guy.
The opposite foot thing concerns me because that's normally something you come into the AFL system with. You shouldn't have to really develop that now.
A top 10 pick should be able to kick
Yes.
fairly good on both feet.
Yes,
like that's
so that's concerning. But it was a solid game from him. But just crucial moments. He kicked it out on the full one time, and he had to go boundary side to kick it another, and it got smothered because he couldn't run around on the other side.
Yep. I thought Redmond was good.
Redmond was great
Without doing anything unreal, but just good.
He took a couple of really nice marks. He led us. Oh no, he didn't lead us for marks.
Again, he probably had to play undersized too.
Yes, but he intercepted. He was actually able to float across, and he took a couple of really hard marks, like running back, contested.
Oh, I've got another one too.
Yes,
Heppel.
Yeah, Hepp was great.
I thought Heppel. I mean, I bagged him out early in the year. I'll be the first one to jump on, put my hand up there.
No,
but
we all
in the last, I think since he came back 2 or 3 weeks.
He's been solid.
He has been very, very serviceable. Very serviceable.
And he's using the ball really well, which is critical.
Yep. He's not going for kicks maybe that are above him. He's just going for the right options.
11 marks, which suggests that he's in the right spot.
By
a
that,
lot of the
he's
time.
just getting outside a lot, getting those. Are they uncontested or contested?
I'd say uncontested just from watching it. But he filled the gap. He was in the hole a couple of times and took that intercept mark as well. So,
and I thought Zerk Thatcher. I thought our back six was pretty good except for 1 or 2.
Can we replace Zerk Thatcher's jumper a bit sooner than half time? He had a half-shredded
he was
jumper.
enjoying getting the guns out in the middle of, hey, look at this, ladies.
Guns. He's not a big dude.
He's not a big man. I do admit that. I did notice a little bit of, like, he's not very well built
Few
underneath
ribs you
that
could see through there, yeah. We noticed it like early second quarter, and they didn't replace it until half time. It's just like, can we give the man a new shirt? Did we leave the number 30s at Tuller? Peace. Any other positives that you want to highlight?
No, not really. I mean,
Merritt was solid.
Merritt was very good. There was some good players, but none of them, I thought, I think we've talked about the better players in the game.
All right. I'm going to transition then into some questionable, what do we call it? Question marks. With what's your opinion on
some issues that I think we're seeing?
No, this isn't an issue. This is sort of an in-between.
Okay.
So looking at the stats, he had a reasonable game, and I'll reel them off before I tell you who it is. 23 touches, 4 tackles, 4 clearances, 485 metres game, which is second for the team. 18 of the 23 disposals were kicks, 6 marks, and 98 fantasy.
They're good numbers.
Will Setterfield.
Yeah.
Was he on Neil? Did he get like a defensive midfield matchup, or?
I think he was on him at the centre bounces, but I don't think that was his job to stop him from getting the footy. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I didn't actually notice Neil. He's not one that I could look out onto the ground and go, there's Lockie Neil.
He had an okay game, Neil, but I don't think he was...
But I just didn't like Setterfield's game, and I don't know what it was. I thought he was shaky with the ball. He can't really kick. He seems to be okay on the run at goal, but that's about it. The kicks are otherwise pretty shanky looking. But the stats suggest he had a good game, so I was just interested in your...
Oh, look, I probably didn't have an issue with him, to be honest. I don't think... When I looked at the team and I thought, where the team needs to go, he's not the guy that I see as a problem.
Okay. I want him in the team because he's that extra dimension.
His clearance, like around the ball, he's still very, very... Like, we don't have big bodies.
No.
I know this has been banged on about forever, but we just don't have strong midfielders. Shield, he's got muscles on muscles, but he does not use them. And that one bump last week was great, but he doesn't do that. That's not him. He avoids contact. Seriously.
His biggest strength to me is the Chris Judd-like, not suggesting he's Chris Judd.
Nowhere near in that
Chris
category.
Judd-like agility.
Yeah.
The sidestep, the acceleration away. And we've seen that at times, but not.
Whereas if Merritt was 6 inches taller, he would be a gun football because he tackles, he goes in hard. He was trying to tackle the Big O down at one stage. Like he was trying to bring him to ground. Like he really gives.
I think Hobbs gave away a high free kick on McInerney.
Yeah, he did.
How'd that happen? Giving away.
No, Setterfield wasn't the biggest issue for me.
Not suggesting he was an issue. I just wondered if you saw.
Picked him out as your first one.
That was in between. I wasn't sure.
Fair enough.
The interpretation at home versus at the game is always very different. So that's
Yeah, I
why I
understand.
was asking the question. Right. There's a few, let's call it negatives, because they are. Nick Hind, just complete and utter spud moment. Or moments.
Some
Not just
massive
one.
brain farts.
The fall over on the wing, probably third or maybe fourth quarter, was the moment I went, no, we're cooked. It could only happen to Essendon, couldn't it?
Felt probably other than that. But yeah.
It could only happen to
Was it
us.
the fourth quarter when he bounced the ball and wouldn't come back and then he got caught?
He just fell over.
Oh, well, there was two moments. There were two when he was running with... He turned the wrong way into someone. Was that him or...
The moment I'm thinking of was on the interchange side wing.
Yeah, it's on the wing.
Had all the time in the world.
Yeah.
Maybe he bounced it. Maybe he didn't bounce it.
Where he made a massive cock up, I thought, and went, what the happened there? I think he went to... There was one moment when Perkins went to kick it. We were streaming into our forward line, and he went to kick this dinky little pox kick that got smothered, and they went back up the other end. And I felt like first half, we talked about our fumbling in previous games.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't there the first half. We were pretty clean with the ball. But then in the second half, we just used the ball worse. Like, somehow we became worse as the game went on.
And that kick you're talking about from Perkins was so questionable.
Yeah.
We had a beautiful run down the wing. That was third quarter. Beautiful run down the wing, chain of handballs, kicking it, and then he went that little farty kick.
Yeah.
And I just booed it. Like, I know I would complain if we're kicking it on the defender's head all the time, but you don't need to chip 10 metres to a contest.
Or don't do it when the guy coming at you is 1 metre away. Like, he's going to smother
running
it.
at you so you can get a bit of height on the jump. Anything else on Hind other than that was just a horrific moment?
Had some numbers. Hind, for me, he didn't play in the early games, like in those first few rounds, and I reckon they don't see him as a permanent player because what we saw this weekend and a bit of last weekend too, is that although his stats show that he's very effective with the ball, but that's because he gets a lot of outside ball. Like, he doesn't get any inside. He's not in there winning the ball out as a defender, which I think defenders should at stages. He gets it on the outside runs and kicks, which you can't stuff up too much, really.
My question for you then, just on Hind for now, ideal world, is he in the best 22?
No.
Does he have a role then as a sub, like against Melbourne, where he can come on as a forward?
Nope.
Okay. Good. Succinct.
I will tell you another thing too that I didn't quite get. It relates. Yeah. So, D'Ambrosio, who was having a fine game, nothing special. I don't remember him doing such brain farts as Hind. He got subbed for Davey, and I was like, why did we sub out a defender and bring in another forward who, no offense, Davey hasn't, and I have no problem with Davey. I think he's going to be a really good football player.
But he's not. Well, okay, so 3 questions then on that, or 2 questions. Do you think David Junior should be a sub?
I think we're getting our sub wrong a lot.
Yes,
I would really like to see a slightly taller, a marking or something like.
Was it possible? Oh no, we only had a week off a couple of weeks ago. I was going to say, is he just a bit tired?
Shouldn't be. Well, because the problem I had was that Tip and Woody and Menzies hadn't had great games. They'd been pretty much ineffective. Tip and Woody just wasn't contesting marks. That was really driving me insane. There was a couple of times where he just watched the other guy mark it. And I think he thought, well, I'm short. I'm meant to get the crumb. Fair enough. But there's only one guy going up for the contest. No crumb's probably going to come down.
In the situation we're in, you just have to compete.
Yeah, you just have to do both jobs at the moment. And I thought, I would have taken off one of them personally to bring on Davey, because I thought having the 3 of them then on the field, I was like, well, how's that going to work? Like, the 2 of them haven't done much for the first, 3 quarters. What's going to happen now in the last quarter?
I do think Menzies had a nearly game again. He seems to be in the right spot an awful lot, but just can't go through with it.
I thought he was fine. But I didn't understand that decision. I was like, well, why doesn't Hind go off? Why don't we keep Hind and Orazio on? Not Orazio.
Orazio, wow.
Massimo, and keep, take a small forward and bring a small forward. Like, trade a like for like, not what we did. And and then, see, I think that what you really want as subs are guys like Durham, and he's not a sub at the moment, but maybe when we have a full list, he might become that sort of range because he's taller, he can mark, he can play on a wing, he can go forward, he can go back.
He was solid, I thought, as
Yeah,
well. I
but
think the ideal sub is Guelphy.
Well,
I think
he's
he's
another one
best
I can
22.
deal with because he can come on and have an influence.
Yeah. I'll ask you a question again. Archie Perkins, 11 touches, a goal, and 4 tackles. What are your thoughts on him recently?
I think his last few games, he's in his third year now. I would have thought that they're not. This game he didn't have any CBAs. The 2 games before he'd had like 10%, 14%. With Perkins, with Parrish out. I'd say Caldwell took pretty much most of those CBAs, which is fine. Caldwell's a very, very good player. But I would have thought that would have allowed someone like Perkins maybe to take a little bit, 10%, 20% again.
What was Stringer interesting?
Aren't we trying to develop it? Like, do we think he's a midfielder or do we think he's a forward?
We seem to be shuffling the mids around a lot in terms of those CBAs. On Perkins, I think he's fine. I think there's enough there to show development, but he's a bit of a panicker. Where we try and have this, kick handball chains and stuff, Perko will just bang it on the boot.
Yep.
And I'm just try to be patient because, as you said, third-year player, plenty of time, but just... And it's times when there's a handball there too.
And show, that's where they really play consistent footies in third years.
What I love from him, and this was against, might have been Collingwood, him and Stringer tackled a guy, got holding the ball right on 50, and they basically fought over the football.
I remember that, yep.
Perko got it and kicked the goal.
Yep.
That's the sort of shit I look at and go, yeah, okay. You've got something. You've got an ego. You've got the ability. I guess it's then just about doing it consistently. But third year.
I don't know. I just would like to see maybe play some different roles. I'll maybe even go down back for a bit and see what he's like down there. Because I think he'll panic a lot down there if you're talking about that. And maybe that might help him with that development.
Bit of composure.
Like he'll go, oh, actually, I've got more time. I've got to realise that. So I think, as I keep saying, I just want to see a bit more of our young kids play some different roles because I'm not seeing...
We were wholeheartedly against McGrath going back.
Yep.
And that been very proven wrong. And I must say, I'm very wholeheartedly against Perkins going back. I think if we're going to try a few different things, roll him into the midfield.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, but I just want to see something different because I don't think the half forward role he's doing much at the moment.
Well, he's not developing an awful lot.
No, he hasn't what's his best game this year? Maybe he's had a 20 possession, 2 goal. Like maybe
he's had a couple of multiple goals. Yeah. Okay, let's keep an eye on it. As I said, I'm comfortable with third-year player that he's going to be a bit up and down still, but the fact he's playing. He's better than the 2 others from that draft.
Yeah, that's true.
So
the last one I'll just quickly bring up too was Draper. I thought it was his worst game for the year. Everything went horrible. He looked piss weak. He fiddled with his hair too much and it shits me. He just needed to be tougher and he wasn't. And I hope he's back this week because that was when we don't have him and Phillips is playing the way he's playing, then we are desperately short of big hard bodies because we don't have
even in the aerial contest a couple of times
he just got our mark.
I could see him coming around the back of the stoppage or back of the pack, sorry. And you can hear the crowd saying and then he just didn't get anywhere near it.
There was one where Daniher just outmarked him by a mile. Like just made him look ordinary.
And as a ruckman, you've got to win the contest against the non-ruckman ruck.
Yep. There's a lot of pressure on you when you're the non-ruckman when you're the ruckman against the non-ruckman ruckman.
And funnily enough, that makes absolute perfect sense. Yeah. Poor game, but again, he's been fantastic all year. So you kind of go shit game, move on.
It shows how much we rely on him,
and it's how you bounce back next week.
Yep, against Richmond, who if he better be near the best on sort of best 6.
It's his game, his kind of game
against Ryan and Miller.
Yes. Now, you mentioned something to me, and
you do.
We mentioned we did a podcast. Sorry, at the start of the year.
We do a podcast.
Let me finish. We did a podcast before the season where we talked a little bit about what we thought the season would involve and what the best 22 was. Even though we actively avoid doing a best 22, we big fat went and did a best 22. You told me pre-pod two things. One, we've played 6 of the top 8 teams in the first 9 rounds.
Correct.
Good fun. Is that current
Bring
top
the
8
stats.
teams?
Sorry?
Is that current top 8 teams?
Current top 8 teams.
Okay.
We played, and just to bang that home, they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7.
How good? Who's
So
7?
we played the top 5.
Wow. I'm beating one of them.
Yeah,
Am I right in saying that?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yep.
Who are second?
Yeah.
Could be worse. On to the best 22 part of it.
Mm.
Sorry, let me finish that one thought. 6 of the top 8 in the first 9 rounds, and then after the bye, we play 5 of the current top 8.
Yep.
So we have a little bit of a respite, I guess, if you can call it that, with Richmond, who's still a tough game. North and West Coast, or West Coast and North. We play West Coast and North again later in the year.
Yeah. So they're...
But other than that, yeah, it continues to be a bit of a shit show. And I assume nothing. I don't for a second think we're going to...
The teams that aren't that we play, like
them.
Carlton, obviously, who
are not currently
in the 8,
but should really be, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Adelaide would have to play still.
Yep. And they're in
8th or 7th at the moment.
We play Collingwood again.
Yes, we do. We'll have to beat them. We owe them.
No, we won't. But anyway,
quite a bit. Now
that's tough. Yeah, and we got Sydney too. I think.
Yes. Who are again? Who knows? At this point in time.
That can be
Dogs
pretty good,
we still have.
Yeah, we've got the Dogs.
Yeah. Now, sorry, 22, which is what I originally started talking about. Pre-season, we had a 22. At the moment of your 22, we have 8 left. From what you deemed critically as being our best 22.
And that
now,
was
even if
Parrish.
there was,
I took Parrish out of that. He didn't play this week.
He's a month out, so he's
that's a month. I didn't know that. Sorry,
he's 4 weeks out.
Well, that's why he's out.
Best 22s are inherently arguable.
Yep.
So we'll say maybe 18 of them people will agree on. 4 of them they won't. Whatever you want to do there.
Yep.
The fact that we've got 8 left is horrific. On so many levels, and it wasn't just the tools. Then it was Parrish, Kelly with the delayed concussion. Although I think we're actually better off without him. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, precisely. And obviously Peter Wright, who we've been missing all year. Sounds like he's been having a good recovery though. He's not far away.
Yeah. You did have Sardis in there too, which is a bit of an assumption.
I did have Sardis because I think he's a superstar.
Still,
I mean, you look at Sheasel at North Melbourne.
Yep.
And Wardlaw, he's going to play this week, they reckon. And like these kids were massively talked about, and Sheasel's showing that.
Yep, and Sardis was in that conversation.
And Humphreys, I think he had like 20-something touches on the weekend up at the Gold Coast. That Philippou for St Kilda's been pretty good.
Been solid.
Yeah, so I would assume Sardis would have probably been, if he played in round 1, he'd probably still be playing now and getting 15 to 20 touches a game. Maybe had one game where he's had a bit of a starring role.
Yeah. But the fact there's 8 left, that's just wow.
It's concerning.
That's so bad.
Yeah. And I had guys like Cox and Reed because I thought, well, we have to start playing. Well, we have to play Cox, I think, but we have to start playing Reed because we're short tools.
That's what Jumper says.
Yep.
I just wanted to drop that in there because that's quite phenomenal to illustrate how much we're missing. And I don't want to make excuses. There's no such thing as honourable losses, even though I think we're okay given the output of the last couple of weeks. No one has to drink a whole bottle of alcohol. I was aware of that about halfway through the third quarter. I thought, geez, what was it? It was around 5 goals that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And they kicked 2 very late ones. I thought 42 points actually flattered them a little bit in the end. Right, to that end, can I have your votes? No, I'm going to go first this week. You can get stuffed. Sorry, just going a million miles an hour. 3 to McGrath. Clear cut best on ground for me for all the reasons we talked about. 2 to Redmond. A lot of ball, a lot of courageous marks, and quite good down back as well. And 1 to Hep. I thought he was sort of everywhere. 11 marks, intercepting, right spot, right time, and continues to use the ball well.
He's been really good this year. Oh, well, since those bad years that we bagged him out for. I had 3 to McGrath, as I said. I thought it was one of his best games for the year.
Yep.
Two to Merritt. I
Mhm.
thought he gave all day, chased, tackled, did really good things. And one to Redmond. I thought he was pretty good defensively. I would have liked to have sneaked that Baldwin over the line, but
Yeah, honourable mention to Baldwin and Hobbs for me, but that's the votes.
yeah, that's right. I did
Right.
notice too with Redmond, because when I looked at the stats, it said 30 possessions. I didn't think he had 30. 30 is something you see the guy with the ball a bit. And then I dug a bit deeper and he had 10 kick-ins and 10 times he played on. I went, so that's 20 possessions. He's actually, we won't call them.
Again, at the ground, I thought he was a standout player. So.
I'm not saying that he still wasn't good. I'm just saying that the numbers flattered him a little bit.
Get him one vote and then continue to talk him down. It's original.
Sorry.
A third best player, but he still sucked. Right, VFL. Hilariously involving the whole east coast of Australia, but we still call it the VFL.
Yeah, why is that?
It's just an easy name. It's Neeful, Quaffle, Viffle.
That'd be... Oh, yeah, what is it? Reserve...
East Coast
just
Football League?
RFL? Reserves Football League?
No, well, it's not then Waffle or Sandful, is it?
Oh.
I mean, it's the East Coast, ECFL.
Yeah.
Should trademark that.
Get a website up, yeah.
68-point loss to the Brisbane Lion Reserves, who are very good. Again, that's not really.
Did you go to the game?
Oh, no, I was on the way home. Fortunately, I was going to say
Sunday.
unfortunately. Yeah, it was Sunday afternoon. Wanganeen kicked a goal. Snelling had 27 touches. Brian 28 hit-outs, 18 touches, 6 rebound 50s, 3 free kicks, 4 and 0 against. And I believe he didn't play the whole game.
Ooh.
And that was a rumour I saw, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
I wonder if the two things there is that they're either saying we've got to get him off, don't get him injured, we're playing him next week, or he got injured, so bring him off.
Well, hopefully it's not the Reed thing where it was like, oh yeah, minor hammy, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I see that
we're good at that.
We're advertising for a fitness guy. St Kilda poached our
you and I.
Good luck.
Go.
St Kilda.
We could take up the role.
Yeah,
we'll
just
take
don't get injured.
Each.
Don't do it. Anyway,
stop bending over so much. You'll hurt something.
Goalless game for Voss. Kicked 2 points.
Yep.
That's about it, really, from AFL listed players.
I got one for you.
Yes, hit me.
Mankura.
Yes, seen some lovely highlights on Twitter.
Went down back. They did it with a Tip and Woody. Now I remember Tip and Woody started as a defender, didn't he?
Did he?
In our VFL, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. VFL, I'm pretty sure he started as a defender. That's one of the things I keep thinking. Why don't we just send him back up there again? Like, he's pretty good. Some
lovely sidesteps.
He wouldn't get caught like Hind.
I saw some real brutality from him taking offence to being bumped or something.
Oh, yeah. He did a good little goose step too.
Yes,
I saw a little
yes.
bit of
He's for the future. He's not for now.
Oh,
he's for the future. But yeah, showing a little bit.
If he can play 2 years of VFL, we might see him in the AFL.
Now, we don't need to harp on too much with the VFL. It's just a bit of a lead on into the fact next week, Dreamtime at the G. The first home game for Essendon Dreamtime at the G since 2018. And I'm all inspired by the people up in Brisbane. That? Well, because COVID. 2019 was their home game. 2020 was in Darwin. 2021 was in Perth. 2022, for some reason, was Richmond's home game again.
That's the one I'm confused by.
Yeah, us. I'm all inspired by the wonderful Essendon supporters and fan base in Brisbane. Get along. Collingwood are all up and about and talking loud about having these massive crowds. Listen to me. Let me finish. Let me get through the point. Getting in all of our faces because they have big crowds. So we need to rock up. It's our home game. If you've got a membership, if you've got a home seat, go. That's you, Nathan.
I got something on.
And let's... Just totally popped my balloon there, didn't you? Show up. Let's get 80,000.
I just pay my memberships and don't turn up.
I know. You've got a life. That's side football.
One day I'll go, I'm sure.
Well, I'll be there. I'm quite excited because every year we either get Anzac Day or Dreamtime, so we haven't really had either for a while. Apart from Anzac Day last year. But
shall we discuss ins and outs then?
We shall. And this is what I want.
Any questions from the crowd?
To talk. Okay, we'll pick one. Are we going to talk about the ins and outs, or are you going to talk about the questions?
Questions from the crowd.
Okay. Phil. Standard contributor Phil. Who's coming this week. He's coming up from... Oh, I probably shouldn't say that, actually. He's travelling and going to the game this week. Is Phil. He messaged the page.
He didn't have to drink a bottle of was it Johnny Walker Blue Label?
Yeah, he was in real danger
Mm.
for a bit there. He thinks we can solve all of our problems by not going into the rooms at halftime. Solid. I like it.
I think that's probably. I feel like that's good advice, actually, Phil. I think that's where it's going wrong.
He's also a big fan of Harry Jones.
Yeah.
Reiterating that conversation. Do we think we're just not fit enough? Can't seem to keep intensity for the whole game. Uses Anzac Day as an example. I think Anzac Day is a bit extreme because of Collingwood. That just seems to be... They're not doing it to just us. Either they're supremely fit.
They're running over everyone, yeah. There's confidence. They've just got... I think it's... I personally think... I think there's probably a fitness issue or a fitness
We do look tired early in games.
But I think it's just your mindset. You know when we've been down for so long that, you know, and especially like the Collingwood one, you can look at... they knew, they're going to come. They're going to come.
We knew it. They knew it.
Yeah. We knew it as supporters.
Knew it, yeah.
And the Brisbane game, the same thing. We knew, well, that was a good half, but now we've got another half to go.
My pep talk at half time. You're going to win. It's fine.
Yep. So, whereas Collingwood players, will be walking around going, we can win any game in the fucking world.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the difference at the moment. I don't know how you get that. You got to win games.
Yes, it helps. Also thinks it's time for Brian to come in.
Phil, you should be on the show. Do you want? I'll quit. You take over.
You can't quit. Please don't
a holiday?
No, there's no leave. Couple of comments from Gavin indicating that some players are king spuds and that Hind is a double spud. I'm not an advocate for being too brutal, but double spud's fun to say. So.
He's just spuddy moments, like a spud moment. Like, what the...
We've got a few players like that. Phil, speaking of things that are fun to say, I was flabbergasted with Hind. Fantastic description. Pidge, definitely our best. I liked Baldwin down back better than Langford. Yes, great point.
Yeah,
he's 100%. Not only for the one, like, comparing him to Langford as a defender, but also then the benefit we get from...
Agree.
Langford forward. This is all Phil will save the time. Hobbs also seems to be easy to tackle. Interesting take. Probably aided by the whole going to ground thing. Stars is in our best 22.
Yep. And when I said that about the sub, I think because of his size and like he's like, you know, when you think of Davey and those guys, Hind and all those guys that we keep bringing in as the subs, they're just a bit. They can't take marks. Like they're not marking guys.
It's all the same kind of player. Yeah.
Yeah. Something about me. I need a guy that can get out on the wing, get the ball mark, and then run and sprint into forward. You know, like anyway, I don't know what it is.
Phil gave 3 votes to Pidge, 2 to Merritt, 1 to Red Dog. By the way, join the conversation 7:30 Monday nights on Facebook. This is how you can have your say. Justin, and I'm not quite sure I get this entirely, so you might have to help me with the TV.
I'll help you out, buddy.
No votes to the property steward for Tipper's shorts and played accordingly. Were his shorts too big? Is that what that means?
He's always a big short kind of guy, isn't he?
Yeah, a bit of dirty bets about him.
The property guy had a bad night because if you think of the jumper as well.
Poor Zerk.
Maybe he's going through the bag and I can't find the jumper for that. And then Tipper, I'm sorry, got the wrong shorts, mate. There's just extra large.
Super large. Apparently Waller did start on the half-back line, so there you go. You've got a back up there.
Yeah.
Phil has confirmed he's coming from Tassie in the public forum, so I can say that now.
Oh, well done, Phil.
Thanks,
Good
Phil.
commitment, buddy.
I didn't want to just give that away.
It's not that far now. You'll have your own stadium to go watch us soon.
Soon, yeah. He still has to catch a plane and book a hotel, so hurry up. Now, out of interest, Phil did message the page and ask where Essendon supporters go for a beer before the game. So get in the comments and let us know where you go.
Shed is what I call it, Phil.
I drive from about 3.5 hours away, so I don't go have beers before the game, but if you do...
Sam doesn't really drink a lot either. He's one of those...
No. I drink the normal amount, and you drink more.
No, you don't drink the normal amount. What you drink is not the normal amount. It's a teetotaler.
I didn't fucking ask, so.
Got him.
And Murray's asked how long Guelphy is away, and I'm just Googling that because they'll be on the injury list.
I did see some positives on the injury list, as I mentioned earlier. Wright is looking like he's going well. Sardis has started running a few weeks, so they're hoping maybe after the bye he might be playing. Well, probably I assume they'll play VFL first.
So we'll run through it. So Guelphy's 2 weeks away.
Yep.
Cox is 3 weeks away. This is estimated. Jaden
But yeah.
Davies obviously season. Harry Jones is TBC, and I see tonight
Yeah,
they're
he's
going
gonna
to
be a
Cricket
while.
Australia for help because of what happened presumably to Cummins. Labs 5 to 6 weeks. Reed is 6. Give a 6-week hamstring. Jesus Christ.
Back related.
Riddle's is concussion 1 week. Stewart's 8 or 9 weeks away. Sardis 4 weeks. Wright is still 9 weeks. And that is updated.
As I said, though, he's back training,
May.
and they said he's ahead of schedule and everything, but they're not going to rush him.
Good. There's no point.
No, I agree. There's no point. I mean, get to the bye, play, see where we go. But the problem is that what we talked about with the VFL, there was, if you looked at that game and you go, well, who can you bring in? I mean, Montgomery, I think he had a few touches again.
Brian is the one knocking down the door.
Brian's the only one. The other
and Snelling. I don't think.
Well.
Yeah, he's not AFL listed, so he's not getting a gig.
I've got a question.
Could I just? Sorry, Snelling, 27 touches for Snell. I don't know why he was dropped in the first place. Go.
I agree. So we will be going to the mid-season draft with 1, if not 2 spots, depending on what they do with Harry Jones.
If you're tall and can make a fist, you're in.
But do you look at anyone from our VFL, like Narkle and or Stevens?
Certainly not Narkle. We've got 15 of those players. He might get poached from somewhere else because he's in pretty good form. We don't need that kind of player. I don't watch the VFL religiously enough to really know. It's not my area.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
It's probably better off for some other people out there.
Maybe you should start watching it, Sam.
Maybe I should.
Some commitment.
I used to when there was interesting players. I watched a little bit when it was Voss tearing it up, but whatever. Right, changes for next week, where we were originally going to go before. Now, what I wrote down before, because I didn't want to jump the gun, Ridley comes back in.
If he's okay.
Presuming he's fit.
Yeah, there's the assumption he's coming straight back in, but there's also the possibility that the earlier reports was it was a pretty severe concussion, so there's a chance he might not. Okay. I would throw that out there. But
let's assume he will.
Yep.
Who goes out?
Hind.
And then so Mass stays in as that small.
Mass stays in as a small defender.
Okay. And Kelly?
Davey comes into the team, and then you find another sub.
So Kelly
can't. Well, he had concussion, so he's
missed the game.
1 week is this week.
He's missed the game. I don't think he comes back in.
I don't think he will though. He clearly will. He'll come in from Massimo. So Massimo and Hind will go. He will, of course.
We don't have then a small running defender.
I know, but they'll probably bloody keep Hind. I mean, if they made the decision at 3/4 time to leave Hind on and drop Massimo, then they obviously put him in front of him. I'm only saying what I'm seeing. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't play Kelly or Hind again.
So you're the coach.
If I'm the coach, it's Massimo, and Ridley comes back in.
So
Ridley
Baldwin
and Zerk Thatcher are your 3 talls.
Yeah, Ridley for Hind is the swap.
Yep. And then Redmond can be freed up a little bit more to be the run carry because he can do that. Very well.
Yes. All right, I like it.
Massimo's your kicking defender.
Any other changes?
You do need a 7th, so that's probably Heppel. I just want to see, obviously, Phillips out, and especially, and I've said this already twice, especially against Richmond, who are I'm pretty sure Nankervis is not playing.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be, what's his name? Ryan and Wright, I think. No. What's the other ruckman's name? Can't think. Doesn't matter. So they're tall, big kids, but they're young and inexperienced. So perfect for Baldwin to come in and have a crack at it. Yeah. And maybe then Draper can play more as a not permanent forward, but play more forward. Because the problem I think with Philippa is when he goes to the ruck, he's around the grounds is shit house. His ruck's pretty good, but around the ground he is shit house. Whereas Bryant, I think around the grounds can, as we've seen, can take marks, can run and kick the ball, and and give a bit.
Do a bit. Nank is listed as of the 9th of May as being 1 to 2 weeks away, and Phil has heard on one of the footy shows that Nank is back this week. So either way, I still think we can get an advantage by playing 2 ruckmen, but I think it should be Draper and Brian. And apparently Kelly can't play because the concussion was reported on the Thursday, so he must have to miss another week.
Yep, that seems fair enough.
So that might solve that particular issue. Lynch is still out for them. Morris Rioli is 1 to 3 weeks listed, so that could be interesting. Soldo's a test.
They were pretty good. Hopper's out. He hurt himself in the game, and I'm guessing that by what I saw when I was watching the game, but he looked like he was. I think he got subbed out, but he looked pretty sort. Like,
yeah, okay. Not that I advocate.
He got up.
Ever advocate for injuries to anyone, but that does help our cause.
We don't mind it when we're playing the team.
But it helps, doesn't it?
Yeah. Especially when they've just come off beating Geelong and they're in form again. I went, oh, damn it.
Yeah. Still got to worry about Taranto. Still got to worry about Dusty. Still got to worry about Rewalt. All the same geezers. But it'd be nice to be back at the G for Dream Time. Can I have a tip, please?
If Brian plays, we win. By 4.
And if Brian doesn't play?
We lose by 12.
Okay, 16-point turnaround there for Brian.
Yep. That's how much I'm betting on him.
Well, I hope it's not 4 points because I can't deal with close games at the best of times. I'll say I think we can win. I think our ability to stick around has shown enough, and Phil's just asked if we think Richmond was good on Friday or if Geelong was just poor. Who does it say more about? Yeah. And I didn't watch enough of it to really know, so I'm not going to comment.
I thought Richmond were good, but they were also a bit lucky. I think they kicked phenomenal. I think
it was very accurate actually in the first
5
quarter.
or 6 goals straight, which is a bit un-Richmond-like.
Got them with 3. That was pretty.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Richmond were better. Because the few weeks before they were getting touched by some teams. I wouldn't have thought Geelong would be that much bad without Dangerfield. Like that's
he's out. He's out for a while, isn't he? Because he's an old man with a hamstring. That's not normally
a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know. But I don't think he's that massive importance to them. Well, he's important, but I would have thought
Richmond do match up well against their forward
Richmond
line.
have a great history, I think, Geelong, don't they? Like,
they beat them in a prelim. I know they beat them in a prelim and a grand final.
Yeah, so they've got a bit of I think it was more of that sort of bogey team.
We'll take that as a bit of hope then, I guess. That helps.
But Richmond's a bit of our bogey team. We struggle to beat.
Yeah, since they got good, we've been terrible. So, I mean, it's hardly bogey.
I do think, though, like, I don't,
Oh, here we go. Phil's never been to a loss at the G. And Phil's going. Confirmed. Get there. Put your house on it. Don't. Gamble responsibly.
I should have that so quickly. Put your house on. No, gamble.
Yeah.
I didn't really say that.
I didn't.
No, I just think if we don't get blown out of the water in the first quarter like we haven't in the last 2 games, then I think we're a better shot this week than we have been the last 2 weeks because we're not playing at somebody's home game who they're top 4.
It's reasonable to say that Richmond is not as good as Brisbane and Port at present.
Yep. Especially at home. Even
7-day break,
home ground,
back at the G for us is good.
It's back to a ground we're a bit better at and a team that's a little bit worse than the other 2. Yeah. Who certainly can be very, very good. But
yeah, it's a bit like Hawthorn in the sort of 18-19 period. You can't really write them off. Yeah, but after their flags. You can't really write them off. You're just not sure. Oh, not 18-19. No, 2018 and 2019. I think that was pretty clear. No. You wanker. All right, I'll say Essendon by 10. Stuff it. I'm not going to make any outlandish bets on drinking enormous bottles of alcohol this week. I hope we win.
I won't make a bet on that either.
I'll be there.
I'll be here.
You'll be there. I will say I was more vocal in the first half on Saturday night than I've been at the football in a very long time.
Oh, that's good.
If that was because we
Did
were
you feel
outnumbered.
safe?
Felt very safe. I don't think any Brisbane really give a shit about football, to be completely honest.
Do they just quietly clapping? Hey, yay!
My friend I went with was an aggressive clapper, which was a bit annoying towards the end when Joe kept kicking goals. But I
haven't been to Brisbane. I've been to the Gold Coast twice.
I honestly think that was just payback for me in the first half. Well, you used to live in Brisbane, didn't you?
Yeah.
Sorry, take a breath there. You used to live in Brisbane. How did you not go to the Gabba?
Oh, I can't remember what. I don't think actually Essendon played up there that year.
Yeah, okay.
I was there for about a year and a half, and I don't think they actually played a home game up there.
Yeah, right.
And I wasn't going to go watch Brisbane play somewhere else.
Yeah, it's got to be the Dons.
I actually walked where I was living was near the NRL stadium around
Oh, yeah.
on the other side of the city.
Did you go to NRL?
Behind yeah, I was going to I was going to go to a game, but I never did. I walked past one where there was game on. I was like, oh, I should do this one. You know, I'm right here. I should probably. Well, I'll go next week, but never did.
Good call. Terrible sport, really.
Yeah. I assume it's the Broncos, Brisbane Broncos.
Yeah, Broncos, Suncorp Stadium. That sounds about right.
Yeah, that's what it was near. Yeah, over the other side.
Lovely town, Brisbane, but I do like Melbourne just for the footy, for the G. It's no MCG.
Or the Gabba.
Gabatoir. All right, we've gone overtime for once in our lives, so I think we'll wrap it up there.
What do you mean it's 8:30 on the dot?
Well, that's an hour. Normally we go for about an hour. I've got a little timer here. It tells me I'm not just making shit up.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here live. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you are. We appreciate it. And we'll chat to you next week after hopefully a Dreamtime win at the G. Go Dons.
Go Bombers.